trucking on. And I'm trucking on. Move her on down the line. Another town will do me fine. I'm trucking on. I'm trucking on.
Molly Symms, welcome to Truckin' On.
Lord Richmond, thanks.
My dear friend.
It's been a long time.
I just had Michael Sartain on.
Love it. Haven't seen that guy in a long, long time.
Fellow Woodrow Wilson Wildcat. We have our 30-year reunion this year.
We're not old enough to have a 30-year reunion, but okay.
I know. I don't feel that like we've been out for 30 years.
No, it's wild.
But it's happening, and it's happening in October. We're going to have a reunion.
I love it.
I'm looking forward to it.
I've never been to one.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you intentionally not go, or was it just like not on your radar?
No, things have interesting things have come up. I guess not like big life events. Like I think I was on my honeymoon actually for the 10-year. So I was out of the country.
Okay.
And then maybe 15-year was like maybe a baby or something happening. And 20 was actually Stephanie Cagley's wedding. So, yeah, I haven't been to one.
I don't remember the 10-year. I'm trying to even think what happened.
That was 20 years ago.
I remember the 20th, and that was right when I had quit drinking. So
that was probably tough.
It was weird, you know,
Yeah.
just going to that. So it's nice now, like the thought of doing anything social, I finally feel comfortable. And I think it probably took me and I drank 1 year out of the last 10 years.
Okay.
But it's taken me every bit of that time off the wagon. And then when I quit again, then I'm like, okay, I can be comfortable in this now. But it was like the first 6.5 years, I would say I was comfortable, but I really wasn't like where I am now. And it's just I think it's different for everybody, but for me, I was so used to socializing in that manner and then something like a high school reunion. I did my college reunion last year, which was 25 year.
Were you sober?
I was sober.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never experienced college community sober before.
Yeah.
And I felt really stable in my sobriety, but I was also I was more annoyed by drunk people. So at 9:00, after dinner, and then there's some cocktail mixer, and then it's we're going to the main green. Brown does a really good job of the reunions, and it's there's this band playing, and every class is there, and all the graduating seniors are there celebrating. And see y'all later. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
You know, and right when people kind of start that
getting
slurring.
Weird. Yeah.
And that'll probably be the same thing at our 30-year high school reunion. I will love it. And then at 9:00, it's great seeing you guys. And I won't even say goodbye. I'll Irish exit because it's just not worth trying to explain.
Yeah. And I get this.
But I just won't feel uncomfortable about the whole thing. And I just own it now. And it's just, this is who I am. And I like it.
Yeah. I get it.
I know I like to start early and move linearly through our lives. But I have to say, when I did drink for that year, that's when you quit drinking, I think. Around 2022. Would that have been accurate?
I quite possibly am the worst human about dates and numbers. I sometimes still ask my children what year they were born. So I think I'm terrible. I know.
That is pretty bad.
It's really bad. I know their birthdays. But sometimes I'm like, what year was that? I think this summer, that June 13th will be 5 years that I quit drinking, I think.
So 2021. Ish.
Yeah. 2021 or 2022. I can't. It was during COVID though.
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably did, but I remember when I was drinking, you probably hit 1 year of sobriety or something. And that's probably the
Yeah.
first time I knew that you had quit drinking.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're like this, but I'm pretty hyper aware if one of my friends becomes sober because it's like, oh, and even then I had fallen off the wagon and I was drinking and I noticed that you were sober. And that is something that really helps me when I see
Oh,
my friends that getting sober,
yeah.
even when I was off the wagon and I drank for assuming that was in 2022 when I saw that, then I drank for almost another year, but it was always on the back of my mind. Like that's, because I have so much respect for people who quit because it's just not an easy thing. And
It's not.
but it's like a massive life changing thing also. So it's really, um, really cool to see. And that really impacted me at that time.
Mm.
So I appreciate it.
I love that. Your story, I feel like, has always impacted me. Um, it's a really fucking tough road. It's a tough road. Um, mm, it's an a really emotional one. I just had during the freeze. Um, January 23rd was my birthday, and I had a party and
Oh yeah, I
had a
had it on my calendar to go to it, but
oh well,
I
the
had the
weather was
kids and it was ice
yeah
storming. Yeah.
wild. Um, just the weird, like I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, and then it was like kind of moment to moment. Ended up happening, and I was like, I'm in this really lovely, good, safe space in my home with these people that I love, and I ended up having a couple of drinks that night.
Yeah.
Um,
Was that the first time?
no, I've actually like I was in Italy and had a couple of glasses of
I
wine.
think you told me that.
There's a kind of a story around that too. It didn't feel like it was the right choice after a minute there. Um, and so backed away and was like, ooh, I need to really be mindful of that. So then, but I have had a drink here and there, um, just a couple of situations
Yeah.
where I've had a drink, maybe two. And then at my birthday party, I had a couple drinks, and then the next night, drank half a bottle of wine because I made randomly out of a friend. They got locked out of his house in that snowstorm and could not get back in. And so he walked over to my house, and I was like, dude, the locksmith's not coming, buddy. You know,
That
it's not gonna
that is
happen for you.
brutal.
Isn't that crazy? Fortunately, he only lives like a mile away. So anyhow, he walks to my house, and the locksmith's like, dude, no, we're not leaving. I'm not coming to your rescue. So he ended up spending the night. My son actually went to a friend's house, and so he ended up staying the night. So I made this like big pot of soup and had, somebody had brought me a baguette and this lovely olive oil. So we had this meal, and I was like, well, I have this wine. Let's drink it. Great idea, Molly. And then things got really, really quiet at my house, and I drank another bottle of wine the next night, and then went down the shame spiral, and just just the most horrible experience. I know you know this, that
Yeah.
that self-loathing, just opens up this awful place in my soul. Um, and I ended up, and you reached out to me like just a few days after that. I had gone
For
to work.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd gone to work. I was in New York. And you ended up reaching out and said, hey, listen to this episode of my podcast. And I listened to it. I'd randomly given my coat away, so I wasn't going to get outside.
That's a good one to listen to when you're in
Isn't
that
that
space.
crazy?
Did you listen to it?
I listened to the whole thing until the last like 10 minutes. I couldn't finish the last 10 minutes. I was rushing around, and I ended up, I got to LaGuardia, and I listened to the end of that episode because I was delayed for an hour or so. And you ended up talking about being passionate about men's mental health and said something. Now I wish I could remember, but you said something about basically just that you had kind of been led to go into rehab because somebody else had spoken up.
Yes.
And I was like, this shame is not going to leave my heart if I keep it inside. If I don't talk about it, it won't ever go away.
Yeah.
And I was like floored, like, oh shit. I mean, it was just such a light bulb moment hearing you speak those words as I was sitting in LaGuardia, and I got on the plane and looked at my phone right before I put it away, and you'd sent me this message.
You said you're a crier, but I'm like, I'm tearing
Yeah.
up.
And I immediately was like,
I'm beating you.
fuck, Ward. Like, no, I don't want to do this podcast, is what my gut instinct was. Like, no, I don't want to talk about this shameful, this shame that I carry. No, but here you are, with such a joyful spirit and really touching other people, whether you see that or not. And so, yeah, I have to. It feels like this beautiful gift from the universe that you reached out in that moment where I was in a really dark place. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I had no idea, of course, until right now. I sent that podcast to you because he talks about doing ayahuasca and that whole trip. And the last time we hung out, I was telling you about that, and you'd expressed some curiosity about it. And we did that podcast. It's like, oh, Molly, listen to this. This is a good spiel on going to an ayahuasca retreat.
Yeah. We'll have to circle back to that.
Yeah, we will. And that is wild, divine timing, winks from God. Like, that's all real. Those are things that have always happened in our lives, but I never started paying attention to it until probably for real, 6 years during COVID. That's when I got really spiritual and then I think when I got into spirituality and really started searching for God for the first time in my life, because I had searched for a while at that point. I am on this healing journey. I'm doing yoga, I'm meditating, I'm going to Tony Robbins, I'm improving myself in all these ways, but God was never part of that equation for me until COVID. And then it just happened, and it does to people. I was spiritually awakened, and then once I started really delving into that world, that's when I became aware of these synchronicities and started looking for them. And then I feeling when I'm in flow and I'm living my life the way I need to be, a soul-based life, which I consider I want to live my life the way God wants me to live my life. So when I'm making decisions, I'm kind of thinking is this in alignment with God or not? But when I am in alignment with God, then those synchronicities I notice happen through the roof in a positive manner. When I fall off the wagon, and I had 2 or 4 drinks the first day when I decided I've done ayahuasca. I've gone to a fasting retreat. I've done yoga for several years. I've been sober for 6.5 years. I can drink again, I think. And I didn't have shame around it because I just decided to drink again. And I did pretty good at first of being responsible for probably a month. And then I got drunk the first time and that's a little slip up, and then did good for a while. And then it just got to the point where I was drinking heavily every day. was nowhere near as crazy as it was before I went to rehab because I was logging every drink. I'm still practicing yoga and meditation and journaling every drink I have. So it was just different, but it it I did log every drink for a year and I watched what happened.
Yeah.
And it plateaued at a high level. I averaged 9 drinks a day for the last 3 months that I drank.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's a lot.
it's a lot. Also, but when you're me, like I can develop a really high tolerance. So it's not like I'm blacking out every night. It's just like, but
Yeah.
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
And I'm passing out, not falling asleep.
Yeah.
And anyway, that whole slippery slope. And I started the podcast while I was off the wagon. So I actually was talking about this a lot, like with guests because I had kind of developed this reputation as a person who does not drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And then I'm drinking while I'm like creating this thing where I talk about life in a really truthful manner. And so I was having to
And you
talk
talked
about,
about you were drinking at that time and you talked about it openly.
yeah, I said that I had it under control.
I'm sure everybody was like, sure.
I didn't really have shame around my drinking. I wouldn't say I had a lot of discomfort having the conversation with everybody after I've been sober warrior for so long
Yeah.
and written blogs about it and blah, blah, blah. Just being me, like, oh, I quit drinking. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then I've got to explain. It's okay. Don't worry. And yeah, every person I know.
Have it under control.
I'm an intuitive person. I'm like, I fucking know. Like everyone's worried about me. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Everyone's watching me.
Yeah.
And that led me to drink really responsibly in public
Yeah.
for the most part. I had many of slip ups, I'm sure, but for the most part, if I had a client dinner, I was like, I'm going to have 3 drinks. And then I would go home and have 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And so I'm drinking by myself way more than I was drinking in public because I had a lot of shame around that part of it. Like the amount of alcohol that I needed to make me feel good, I did not want to be displaying that in public. Whereas pre-rehab, I viewed it as an asset for me to drink as much as possible. And I wanted to share my skill with the world. So I had no shame around it at
Yeah.
all. Like I thought it was awesome. Like I am awesome because I can go drink 15 drinks at a work event. And that's what I want to be known for in life. And I want to die and be known for this. That was what went through my mind as a 35-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I was like truly living like, this is why I'm here to do this. This is freedom. This is the way. And then like I had that conversation and a few other things. And then one day, just like it was that spiritual awakening moment, like this might not be like what I need, who I need to be in this life. And then it's like this identity thing, like, gosh, it's my identity. And then changing that identity when it was everything like in my life revolved around it. That was weird. That's when the 10-year or the 20-year high school reunion came up and I was like, who am I? Like, I was still trying to be like, I'm normal. I can still go out. I would smoke cigarettes at that thing. I'm sure like I did not go home early. I stayed till the end of it. Like I'm going to be just like I used to be, except for now I don't drink.
Yeah. Which
And
can't be.
No. And I went on like that for a long time. And age helps and kids help and all of that. So anyway.
That's so interesting. I never wanted to be known as someone who could drink anybody under the table. That's kind of funny to me.
I think it's because of Woodrow Wilson High School. And
Do you?
I think I associated from the moment I stepped foot into those hallways, like drinking equals hot girlfriend. And
How funny.
Like had that, you see I played football. And so like the guys on the
Yeah.
football team, they would all go to Williamson Park. They'd all go drink. I was never allowed to do this all through high school. Cause the few times I did drink in high school, I got caught by my parents because they're all over me. And I'm like, have this in my genes, obviously. So I did not fuck around when I drank in high school. I would get ripped and like
Yeah.
in trouble and caught every time, like the 3 or 4 times I drank, and got grounded. So I kind of witnessed that alternate reality going on where they're all drinking and having sex and like all of the like just getting into trouble and the cops are coming, and I sensationalized that because I could not be a part of it. And we're like hanging out.
I'm like, I hung out with you a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm hanging out with you.
Because I didn't drink in high school.
None of us drank. Like I wasn't allowed. I had to stop drinking at homecoming dance my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
You were my date to homecoming dance my junior year.
Yeah.
And that's when homecoming dance sophomore year, Kelly Ewert was my date.
Uh-huh.
And my mom had to come get me from the dance because they would not let me in because I was so drunk.
I remember that ward.
Yeah. And that was the last time I drank.
Oh my gosh.
Until like the end of our senior year. And then my parents let up.
I had a memory the other day. I feel like you were drinking a beer, but maybe we weren't. This is so random, and I don't know that you'll remember this, but we were at homecoming and we went to a hotel somewhere. I think it was homecoming. Maybe it was after prom or something. Because we kind of did all those dances together because we were at least in the same like friend group where we would be together at all those things. But I'm pretty sure it was homecoming. It was like I just have this vision of a hotel room and you and I hiding in the closet. Do you remember this?
No.
I don't have many details. But you and I were like hiding in the closet, just laughing our asses off because everybody else was being ridiculous. And we were sitting in the closet on the floor chatting. And I remember you drinking a beer in the closet, but I
might have.
I mean, I'm sure you were. I probably was too. No, I probably wasn't, actually. I remember drinking once when I was in high school.
Yeah. In general, after sophomore year is also when I joined Variation Show Choir and started hanging out in that world. And nobody drank really like of that group. We were all go to the coffee shop and smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
That was the vibe. And that was awesome. I loved doing all that.
Yeah.
But when I got to college, then I started drinking and used it as social capital because I went from knowing everyone and growing up in the same neighborhood to not knowing anyone. And that was really hard. And I played football, but I got injured very early my freshman year and then had to quit football. So that was kind of like my community that was brand new and I didn't know anyone. And then it suddenly ended. And I'm just at school in New England at an Ivy League school and I'm me. And like, what the hell am I doing here? And I'm such a social person, or at least I was back then. And so used to just being like the popular guy and having so many great friends to having like no friends.
Yeah.
And the alcohol, just my youthful mind figured it out. Like this is a way to go make friends. And it was, and it worked.
Social lubricant for sure.
I joined a fraternity. And if you had asked me senior year of high school if I was going to join a fraternity, I would have said hell no. Like we were all like into punk rock and all of that.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. I remember saying there's no way in hell I'm going to join a fraternity. Year later, I'm like the pledge class president and been in the rush chairman and playing drinking games. And that was my identity formed in college. And I immediately, once I turned to drinking and partying and stuff, like my friend group just expanded drastically, of great people too. Like they're still friends of mine today, but
Yeah.
that our lives revolved around that. And then John Pedigo and I started a band, a rockabilly band, and we're playing at bars whenever I wasn't at college. And that became the other thing. And like our band writes songs about getting drunk. And like
Yeah.
that's what we did. And then that was that. And then I just was that person for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then like, oh shit, I don't think this is that cool anymore. When Betty was born,
Yeah.
I don't.
Is that when you quit drinking?
When she was 1.5.
Yeah.
So I drank heavily when she was born. And I mean, that was probably the peak of my alcoholism, is that 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And then she started talking and all of these things. I mean, there were like a million signs from God. I think that's what I was going to say is, when you're living in alignment with God, it's like 11:11 on the clock. Like, oh, Molly got this podcast about addiction right at the right time when she needed it. When you are drinking and you're not living on the path, then you get other synchronicities that are like baseball bats over the head eventually if you're not paying attention. And that's what was happening. Like just shit hitting the fan, just feeling like my life, like I was the unluckiest guy, and all of these things were, I was having health. I was 290 pounds. I was just like, how did this happen all of a sudden? I have high blood pressure. I'm fat. Like I'm sweating when I can barely put on my shoes. Like it was just, all this happened. Marriage counseling. Marriage counselor's like, you drink, you're an alcoholic. You know, there's just like 10 things. And I think if I had kept going and not paid attention to all those signs, the signs get worse. And it's still synchronicities, but they're not good ones. And it's just like life. God will, I say this in like almost every podcast, but like you get tapped on the shoulder and then you get slapped across the back of the head and you get bitch slapped and then you get punched in the face and then you might get killed. And like that might be your wake up call, is death. And thankfully as of today, I'm feeling.
So you don't feel like you had like a big rock bottom then?
I mean, I might have had experiences that might have been rock bottoms for other people, but for me, I had some days where I was really bad, but I did not quit because of a rock bottom.
Well, I think a rock bottom is relative, right? I mean, everybody's is different. I mean, sweating when you put your shoes on is pretty shitty, right? Like that's not good.
Sure. I was sweating all the time. Like, I mean, I was wearing, I was just like, I didn't fit in my clothes. Like,
it's uncomfortable.
And I could always hide it well because I'm so tall. So it's not like it was super obvious, but I felt so obvious to me. And when I went to the doctor for my physical, I weighed 287 pounds and I could not believe it.
Yeah.
Because I had been doing Ironmans before Betty was born.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember seeing you somewhere.
And I got in a motorcycle wreck right before Betty was born, drinking and driving a motorcycle, which I had no business doing in the first place. And because of that, I stopped training for Ironmans. And so I was used to doing endurance sports, like to balance out my drinking. So I would go train for a race, not drink, then party really hard, and then decide to quit and train for a race. So it kind of like there's this crazy method of like keeping the party going. But when I got in the motorcycle wreck, and Betty was born like months later, I stopped all that. And then I just partied. And I started drinking in the daytime too, because I had to be home at night to do dad things.
Yeah.
And that became like when I started drinking in the daytime. So, and that lasted like 1.5 years. And like this cannot continue, or I'm going to be the deadbeat dad of all deadbeat dads. And anyway, thankful to be here now. And I know it's a daily thing. I still have those conversations like, oh, I'm such in a better place now. I can have a glass of wine. I I really what keeps me sober now is not me worried about me or and who I would become if I started drinking, but I read a lot of Buddhism books, and I read in one of them that like to not drink for the sake of the people that are struggling with alcohol.
Mm.
Even because it says like even if you don't have a problem with alcohol, you should still abstain from alcohol just to honor those who do. And I like that for me because
Yeah.
I'm really good at convincing myself that I'll be okay to have that drink or something. And and so I just think like I think back to you when I was drinking and you were having 1 year of sobriety, and that was so impactful for me. Like I want to be that impactful person for the other people out there. And I also recognize I can be the annoying person for a lot of people too that
Yeah.
are like not anywhere close to recognizing they have a problem if they do
Oh,
or whatever. And just like they don't want to hear it because I've been there, believe me.
yeah.
I'll go right back there if I start drinking again. Like I don't want to be around sober people. I'll respect them, but I don't want to let go. Like it makes me feel, I feel more shame around that situation. So whenever I have those conversations, which is every now and then, I'm just like, well, I'm just not going to do it for the sake of this identity. It works for me. It leads to a peaceful existence, a joyous existence. I don't have to worry if I get a call from Betty's school that her diabetes equipment's not working. Like this happened yesterday.
Mm.
Like, am I going to be at the truck yard drinking cocktails in the afternoon when I get that phone call, or can I just say, "Oh, I'll be right up there," and like all of these things, like, yeah, could I handle it? I can convince myself that I can handle it. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But it's really the thinking about the other people
Yeah.
because sober people are the reason why I got sober. There's no other way I would have done it without seeing other people on the other side or hearing their stories. Like, oh, this is because you can tell. I could tell with you too. Like I can tell now. Like you like there's a light about you, about people that are abstaining from alcohol. That's like super obvious, I think.
I ended up listening to a podcast. I, would wake up with like sweaty in the middle of the night. When I
When
quit drinking.
okay.
Yeah. Um, I just self-loathing. I mean, I love that you didn't have shame.
I mean, I had shame, but I couldn't pinpoint it. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Oh yeah. Everything's real foggy. Like, it's like, where does it hurt? And you're like, all over. Like you can't even pinpoint anything.
Or
It's,
sometimes you're so used to hurting, you don't even feel the hurt. And it's
oh
like, this is
yeah.
just like, I never thought I had anxiety until one day it's like, oh shit, I have a lot of anxiety. And same thing
Yeah.
with shame. Like I don't have a shame problem at all. Some like a psychic medium, intuitive lady told me like, oh, you have a big shame problem. What? And I was like, oh, yeah, I do. And now when I feel shame, it's like, oh, it's like it hits me. So it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling shame right now. But before, yeah, I always carried shame, but it becomes like a coat from the cold almost in a
Yeah.
weird way where you're just used to it. And then you're used to nurturing it with
Oh
more
yeah.
shameful acts.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, so I ended up waking up in the middle of the night, um, when the alcohol would wear off, and I ended up, I like Googling in the middle of the night, probably like, am I an alcoholic? Like, what is going on here? Why am I in this cycle? Because every night at that time, I would start thinking like, this is going to change. It has to. Like, I don't want to hate myself like this. And so the next morning I would wake up and think like, this isn't going to happen again. And then it would happen all over again. And then, I mean, it was just the ugliest cycle. And then I'd drink and then I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and then the self-loathing would happen, whatever. I finally Googled something in the middle of the night when I was up and ended up finding a podcast actually called The Bubble Hour. And I started at like episode 1, and it was these 2 women, and it sounds, the bubble hour sounded like champagne, but it was like creating a bubble around the most vulnerable hour of the day when you feel the most vulnerable to drink. And so I started listening to a podcast, and then it just kind of roll into the next, and I'd listen to that one. And, I would listen to like episodes and episodes, and it went on for about a week. And so, of course, in every episode, I'd be like, well, I'm not that bad. I'm not hiding it. I'm not drinking Listerine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't do that. But then by the end of the week, I was like, but somehow I see myself in every single one of those stories.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm showing up in those stories, even if it's not that bad. And so finally, I spoke the words out loud, and I've never even been to an AA meeting.
Yeah. Thankfully for podcasts like that's so much for me. I mean, I'm not a big AA person. I've been to a lot of AA meetings,
Mm-hmm.
but hearing other people's stories and talking about it is the thing that really works for me.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the 12 steps. And the last time I got sober, her advice of a great friend of mine, who actually gave me this advice, not for my own sobriety, but to be stronger in my sobriety to help a friend of ours that was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you need to go actually work the steps with a sponsor. And I was like, whatever, I'll go do that. And doing that process was pretty cool. It was
Yeah.
really cool. And, but I digress. Yeah. I actually have a friend that's been to rehab multiple times, been hospitalized because of alcohol,
Mm.
still drinks. And one of the kind of reasoning, like one of his reasonings behind this is, well, I don't drink Listerine. And I was like, dude,
But I'm not that
there are
bad.
fucking levels here. Like
Yeah.
that's bad. Like,
Yeah.
I have mouthwash here at my house, and I don't drink it to get intoxicated. I'm just going to go to the liquor store if I
Yeah.
want to drink. But that it's so funny though, how hard people want to fight the identity of having an alcohol problem or being an alcoholic. A lot of people I know don't drink and they do not like to consider themselves an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I kind of throw it around. Like, was I a person that drank Listerine or drank like a handle of vodka a day? Because I know plenty of people that drink like that handle of vodka a day habit where they have liver failure, or they're just like those kind of drunks where you don't even know they're alcoholics because their tolerance is so high, you can't ever tell.
Yeah.
But they're drinking like they're killing themselves. And like that is a level of alcoholism. Thankfully, I never experienced personally where I was like physically addicted to drinking a like hard liquor all day.
Yeah.
I was more like sipping on wine all night and drinking beers and maybe some shots. But I mean, but I just kind of like don't mind saying I'm an alcoholic. I don't know. There are days when I don't know if I believe that 100%, but it's like, whatever. Like, sure, I'm an alcoholic. That means, because I know historically when I drink, I eventually get to a point where I drink more than I intend to. and I drink on nights that I say that I'm not going to. And my bar for alcoholism is really low. So if somebody comes to me, and so many people come to me like to talk about this because they're contemplating, they're super curious.
Yeah.
They're like, but I only blacked out one time this year. Like, that's an alcoholic to me. Like, if you black out one time in 1 year, you could die, right? Like that. So and for me, where I really quit, I got drunk at a business conference. I was drinking old fashions and I was slurring.
Yeah.
And that was really the worst thing. Like when I woke up the next morning, out of everything that happened in that year, nothing crazy happened, but I was noticeably intoxicated. I was dating someone at the time. She let me know. I was like, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
for sure. And I had told myself when I had started again, like, I'm not going to be the drunk guy at business events. Like, I'm not going to do that. And then sure enough, there I am. And that for me, if I'm slurring at a work dinner, I don't need anything worse than that to make me feel made me feel back then, at least, like this is a major problem that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
So there's all levels and everybody's different.
Yeah. I have a hard time saying that I'm an alcoholic too.
I do too.
I have a really hard time saying that.
I can kind of say it like jump off a cliff in Jamaica and like, I'm going to fucking do it.
Right?
But I'll do it. But
Yeah.
do I feel like warm and fuzzy when I say
Don't
it?
love that for me. I definitely don't. I always kind of joke like, God gave me lots of great gifts. Cutoff switch wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Call me what you will. I don't really care.
Yeah. Is that so? And you are a flight attendant by trade.
I am a flight attendant still. Wednesday is my 24th anniversary at Southwest Airlines.
Congratulations.
Insane. Thank you.
Now, they just changed. You just changed from the cattle call to normal seating.
To assigned seating, yeah.
Is that kind
normal
of
seating?
After 24 years? Non-normal for you.
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is happening here?
I mean, yeah.
What do you mean F? I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I fly American because I fly all over the country and internationally a lot, and but I fly Southwest to like Austin and Houston, San Antonio, whatever, like around here. And I have not been on Southwest flight since they changed it. But
just been a couple weeks. Totally
shifting gears. What was the reasoning behind that? And then how's that going?
I think that is TBD for some of the reasoning. I think there are big changes coming for our company. We, I think, have hired or are in the process of hiring like almost 4,000 new flight attendants. There are big changes coming for us for sure. And we're kind of the last to know what that looks like, but
they don't like have some type of management meeting that says, hey, we're doing this and here's the reason why we're moving to this. I mean, I assume it's money.
I mean, yeah. And then Elliot came in and tried to revamp things and kind of get us, pull us back together because we were kind of a hot mess, I guess, and changed lots of things. And there have been some shifts, and it's the nature of the beast, it's the airline industry. It's going to change and morph into something else. Although I think everybody kind of feels like Southwest will never change and morph into something else. And suddenly it has. And I think that we'll be profitable, and I think that we'll survive it.
Yeah. And what really led me to that is, as a person that sensationalizes alcohol, I would think for like it seems like there's a great drinking culture among the airline industry,
Oh,
like pilots and flight attendants. You're traveling all over the place. You like
yeah.
stopping off in cities and staying in hotels and kind of it goes back to like the Pan Am days and like that whole vibe
Yeah.
of this life. And I have pilot friends, so I also know like this is a reality of that industry, that drinking is a big, like in the music industry, it's
Huge.
like a big part of the culture.
Oh, yeah. It is the culture. I don't feel like it is as much, especially after COVID, because when during COVID, things got real weird where, I mean, you couldn't even find food when we landed.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, restaurants weren't open. It was a different story. And I didn't fly a whole lot at that time either. But yeah, I mean, especially 20 years ago. I mean, we would land and the cockpit door would fly open and it was, I got the first round, and who's coming down to the bar? The pilots would order food. We'd meet on the beach, in certain locations and, drag sand back into our beds and everybody's drinking and hammered and we'd get up and do it again the next night.
And you're in your 20s, like,
Oh,
and
so fun. So fun. And it's still fun, but
yeah.
it's still a very social place, but it's also really fucking lonely. If you think about it, like most people don't think about that. It can be really lonely. You're in a hotel room by yourself a couple nights a week. And that's what we have to do is hang out with each other and drink
Yeah.
because otherwise you're kind of on your own.
How often are you with the same crew?
So typically I check in and then I stay with the same crew for 3 days because I typically fly just 3 days a week.
But I mean, like per year, what percentage of a year are you spending with the same people?
A lot of times you meet somebody new every single week.
Yeah. So
You don't even know the people.
yeah. So it's also, you're in a work environment that's constant. The people are always different. So you're just working with different people.
Yeah.
And that's lonely. And then
Yeah.
kind of, because it's
It
just
is,
like
yeah.
you're not able to form deep relationships with
Yeah.
your coworkers when in a situation like that. So
I have
like
been
another,
I've been
by the way, then alcohol becomes that amazing social crutch and capital when you're
Oh,
in
yeah.
that situation. I can only imagine.
Yeah. I have been in Dallas. Now that I've been back in Dallas for almost 10 years, I do fly with people that I know at this point, but not all that often. So it is still
Where were
usually.
you?
The 8 years before that, I was based in Vegas and
Did you live in
commuted.
Vegas?
No, I never lived in
You
Vegas.
always,
I lived in Southern California for many, many years.
okay.
I lived in LA County. Um, and before I was based in Vegas, I was based in Oakland,
Yeah.
up in Northern California. I spent a couple years in Northern California too. When I first started, I was in Northern California.
Okay. I'm going so off format on this
Sorry.
podcast. No, I think it's awesome. It's perfect. But let's go back.
Okay, let's go.
So East Dallas forever?
Born and raised in East Dallas. Yeah, I went to Woodrow with you. I did not go to JL Long and all of
Right.
that. I was in like Buckner Terrace,
Yeah.
I-30 and out towards Mesquite, Stephen Burt's house.
Yeah.
And what Stephen Burt lived over there, and who else? Some kids that were around, our age. Amity Perry lived over there. A handful of people. That little neighborhood at that time was zoned for Skyline,
Okay.
Bryan Adams, and Woodrow.
Okay. And now it's not for Woodrow, probably. Or maybe it is.
I think it's Bryan Adams
Yeah,
now.
I feel like it's BA because I lived over
Yeah.
there, and that's where my kids were going to go to school when I lived over by Good Friend,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So did you go to elementary, middle school in that area, like Hexter?
So
or-
no. So I ended up going to Hotchkiss, which was a Montessori academy.
Okay.
You know, on Northwest Highway, back behind Keller's,
Yeah.
there is a little school. I think it's just a DISD elementary school now. It's called Hotchkiss. But at that time, it was like a Montessori magnet.
Okay.
And then I guess I started in first grade
Yeah.
and then ended up going all the way through eighth grade. Seventh and eighth grade weren't necessarily Montessori method, but
I wish
they
our
had-
parents were hanging out back then and take me there instead of jail long.
I've heard scary things about jail long
was
forever,
It was
but
brutal.
I mean,
It's
it was
why I probably developed a drinking problem.
right. I don't know what's my excuse.
That's true.
I had this like
the
very
water in East Dallas.
there you go. All sorts of issues. It was, I mean, there are pros and cons to that little school too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, you don't want to memorize those math skills, just use this abacus instead. I mean, it wasn't great for me in some ways, but it was also amazing. I mean, I had the best art teacher in the district, and
Yeah.
it really nurtured my creativity, and I'm think outside the box, and probably was not the most typical learner. And so, I mean, it was good in some ways, but
You were super cool. When I first met you, I remember thinking, Molly is so cool.
that was so funny. Thanks,
You were
Ford.
new to the school. Your sister Sarah was at
Yeah.
Arts Magnet, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I remember specifically you wearing a pasty face shirt.
Oh, yeah,
That was her boyfriend,
Yeah.
Drew Fleming's
Yep.
band. And Drew and I later became friends because we were playing in
How funny.
bands. We were playing shows together in my
Yeah.
20s. And I remember I put two and two together. So that's always kind of one of those random memories of high school. But you were like you like had that, like, I'm into local bands. I'm wearing Doc Martens. I'm
Yeah.
this cool person. And I thought it was like it was just new and different from
How funny.
what I was used to, like people I was used to meeting. And that had to have been freshman year. So
Yeah.
were you dating Stephen Burt then? Or did you date him, or were we all just friends?
I did date him my freshman year. So he grew up right around the corner from me. And Elizabeth Knox,
Yes.
Brantley Offel, Stephen Burt, I don't remember who else, but this is the summer of after my 8th grade year. And I wasn't sure where I was going to go to high school. I actually was accepted into Arts Magnet for visual art. And my sister was there. And all those kids were down at the St. Francis Park hanging out down the street during the summer. And Elizabeth says, my cousin lives right down the street. Let's go knock on her door. And they came and knocked on my door. And I met all these kids, and I ended up, I think, went to like a Young Life meeting with them or something. And she was like, you should come to Woodrow.
And that's it too, because we were freshmen and you were like clicked in with all of these sophomores then because of her. So that might have been like another aspect of me, like seeing you as being this super cool chick.
I was
that
so
I went to
cool.
school with.
No,
Yeah.
I had no clue what I was
know.
doing. I mean,
Nobody
did, right? I did not feel cool, but yeah, I mean, I did. I had the in of Elizabeth Knox, and which I talked to her this morning. She is still she's my cousin, but she is also one of my very best friends. She's just my soul sister. But yeah, she knocked on my door, and the rest is history. I went to Woodrow because of that. And
That's
I
cool.
dated Stephen Burt. Yeah.
I have another random memory of Woodrow of a guy named Jonathan Barton.
Mm.
And
Ooh. Go ahead.
That sticks with me
Yeah.
because he passed away and
Yeah.
he had the coolest Jeep,
Yeah.
right? He had this really cool Jeep and you were close. Were you friends with, were you guys just friends or
He went to Hotchkiss.
he went to Hotchkiss with you and
Mhm.
did he ever go to Woodrow? Did he go to
He
Woodrow?
did.
Okay. He did go to Woodrow. But
Briefly.
he was like, you did not go to Long, right?
Uh-huh.
And so he was there and he had that Jeep and then that Jeep was like jacked up, right?
Yeah.
And really cool. And I remember like one of the tires blew out while he was driving down the highway and he died.
Mhm.
And that had to have been the first time I experienced someone I knew that was my age dying.
Yeah.
And that's why I will not forget that. And I remember you were close with him.
Yeah.
Um, and that is really, that like really shook me. I didn't know him that well, but
Mhm.
it doesn't matter at that age when you hear something like that. How it's like,
Your
whoa.
peer. Yeah. Wow, that got me, Ward. I
Oh,
didn't expect you to bring that up. Um, this is a wild story. So I met him when I was in the 4th grade. I was probably 9 years old. And we rode the bus together. He lived in the same neighborhood. He was right down the street, and I would walk him to his house and drop him off, and then I would walk on to my house, home from the bus. And um, we were just kindred spirits. I just always, he was one of my dearest friends, and we'd stay up late at night talking on the phone. He was never like my boyfriend or anything. We were just these like sweet, dear friends from the time we were young kids.
he was the kindest guy. I just remember
Yes.
him being so friendly.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I can kind of picture what he looked like, but I just remember
Oh,
that
he was
energy.
the
Like he
cutest.
just made me feel, because everybody at least when I was in high school, I felt really insecure. And like,
Yeah.
so he had a warming presence.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. He did. He was just the most beautiful soul. Um, so he dated Shelley Ferguson.
Oh,
And
that's a name I haven't heard in a long
I
time.
know, and I don't know how I came up with it just now. It's really kind of impressive. They dated for a while. Oh, he loved her so deeply. And they broke up, and he called me, and I took him. I think the only time I ever snuck out of my house, and of course I walked out the front door, but I went and took my stuffed animal hippo and met him down the street at his house and gave him my hippo to sleep with that night because he and Shelley had broken up and he was so heartbroken.
Oh my God.
I just have like the sweetest memories of him. Um, we did a lot of like, I had some good friends. Courtney Martin, I don't know if she went to BA, but she was one of my best friends from junior high. And she went to White Rock United Methodist, which is where Jonathan went. Anyhow, I was with him a lot of times, like with youth group stuff outside of school too. And just, he lived down the street and had this sweet connection. And yeah, one of the biggest events of my entire life was the day he died. Jamaica Wraith called me, and I remember dropping the phone, and just screaming and like falling to my knees. Just he used to spend the night at my house. um, my parents would let him, even during high school, he would like come over and he'd like, I'm having a tough time at my house, and he'd come and sleep on my couch. And I saw Jurassic Park with him, and so many beautiful memories. This is super weird and just such a divine, wild thing. I was at my son John played football this year for the junior high. And this guy named David Lyles, I don't know if you know.
I do know him.
Do you know him?
We played football together.
Okay. Yes.
For the White Rock Rebels.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you don't know Courtney because she cheered or was like on the drill team for the White Rock Rebels.
I probably had a crush on her.
Well, she's about the cutest thing ever. She still is. So yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy is sitting next to us in the stands, and his son is on the football field with John. And I'm like, I know you. I'm Molly Symms.
He's the friendliest guy in America.
He's
he?
the sweetest.
He's
just has a sweet light about him.
He does.
Well, Ward, I did not remember this at all. But we start chatting, and I'm like, you remember Jonathan Barton, don't you? And he said, Molly, I was Jonathan Barton's roommate when he passed away. And like, I just, it was the weirdest. My heart like kind of fell on the ground, but it was at the same time, Ward, it was so heartbreaking for him to say that out loud, and felt like the most divine intervention that Jonathan was still with me.
For sure.
I mean,
I was about to say that. Like,
he was like, hey, girlfriend, I'm still here.
He's here right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was the most beautiful gift. Such a beautiful gift.
I've heard, I just heard this week, actually, from my spiritual advisor, who's also like a forensic psychic medium and all the things.
How do I meet this person?
I'll have to connect you. Her name's Carissa Schumacher. So she wrote a book that's an amazing book, extremely esoteric. But we were kind of like, we have sessions a couple times a year. So like we'll talk for like 2 hours, and she's just become like a good friend, but also like advisor at life, kind of like a therapist, kind of like a life coach, like spiritual teacher, all these things. But she is asking me like, what was my first loss I experienced? And it was my dog dying. Like that was my first experience with grief. And she's like, oh, he is one of your greatest spirit guides. And like he came here and lived for the amount of time that he needed to live to like be with you in body here on this planet. But then he had to go, but he's like one of your greatest spirit guides. So I just heard this story this week about my dog, Max. Oh. And she's like, call him in meditations, like, cause he's always with you anyway. So just acknowledge that he's there. And this seems like, obviously the same type of deal. Like I would assume he's like with you always. He's like your brother.
Okay. Well, listen to this. This is the wildest. I have since had lots of other losses. My mom died in 2013. My grandmother died 2 years ago on my birthday. And then my dad just passed last May. Losing both of your parents feels very, it's like if this untethered feeling that's hard to really describe. But anyhow, I finally decide like I have just enough money at that time that from my dad that I'm going to put it back into a house. And I start looking, and I'm priced out of Lake Highlands. I can't get back into Lake Highlands by myself, right? I don't really want to do a condo. So I really want a single family home. And I start looking, and I walk into this house, and I'm like, this is my house. I knew immediately. It washed over me, and it is 2 blocks from the house that I grew up in.
Wow.
It is right around the corner.
And that's where you had your ice party. Where I was invited to.
Yeah. You'll have to come see my house. It's the
I should have gone. My presence would have.
I felt you there, Ward. Maybe I would have been.
You might not have drank.
No, I would have been like, Ward's going to be so disappointed.
Yeah.
You would totally get
Or I
me
might start drinking.
It would have been a mess. One or the other. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know where that story was going, but it has been just the most amazing gift. And I have called in all of my spirit guides, and I created a little meditation room, and put my Peloton bike in there, my meditation mat, and have been calling on all of my people, and damn, they've shown up. It's wild. It is so wild when you're able to tap into that and really ask them to be present. And Jonathan has shown up more recently, and I smelled my dad's cologne the other day.
My cousin had that experience with her mother who passed
Yeah.
away, and my Aunt Patty, and she said the same thing. Like, it was real weird. And she was like, I was in a parking lot, and no one was near her.
Yeah.
But she knew that's mom's cologne or
Yeah.
perfume or whatever.
Yeah.
That happens.
Wild, right?
All of this stuff, not anywhere on my radar until COVID. And
Yeah.
I got divorced then. And I remember going to Tulum to a bachelor party for a guy I work with. And there was this lady on the beach selling crystals. And I was like, I'd been feeling like I want to get like crystals to like block dark forces from my house or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, where did this thought come from? I have no idea. And then
I
on the
love it.
beach, this lady's like selling them. And I was like, I want one. And it's like, this is amethyst. It prevents drunkenness. Like, oh, that's for me.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, like,
that's crazy.
and I was sober then. So it's like, oh, I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. Amethyst is made for me. And I started dating, and I wanted to I was drawn to I want to date, I think, a yoga instructor. So I was on the dating apps. I wasted no time after Gina and I separated. And I was very clear on who I wanted to date, like a yoga person. And I did, and it worked. And then I was on a date and with this woman, and she starts talking. She knows all about crystals. And she's like, I just went on the spiritual journey, and it's run by this psychic medium. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's talking about spirit guides and this and that. Like, I was like,
I am here for it, Ward.
I was there for it too. Like, I was so curious, but I had never heard anyone talk about this kind of stuff before. So I was like, but it had been just like filtering in. Like, I kept meeting people that would bring up stuff, and maybe like I heard about ayahuasca or something, but I was like, no,
it does creep in.
I'm sober. Yeah. And then, it's the whole synchronicity thing. And then it's like one thing after another. And then she is just like, oh, I just got chills. I need to give you this contact information. And so I was like, okay. And there's nothing on the internet about this lady whose contact information she gave me. But I emailed her, and then she emailed me right back. Like, I've been waiting for you to contact me. And just like, I've got messages from your grandparents. There's one with an F name and one with a B name. And it's like Frank and Betty are my grandparents. Like,
Word, that is wild.
She's speaking like in this code that nobody could. My mom might be able to decipher some of it or something, but like no one, if you had like my whole, like the way that she was explaining things, like there's something about the dentist. She was like, he was there for the birth of the girl who was full of whimsy, and she was there for the boy who his joy. And I was like, Betty is full of whimsy. Like, that is a description of my daughter. Like, perfect. That is Betty. And then Levi is the boy who is joy. And like all of these crazy things. And like, there's a Remington razor here. I don't know what that means. My dad's company is called Remington Partners. And there's something about White Rock Creek or something. And like,
wow.
And when I got that email from her, I was like floored, tears streaming out of my eyes. I'm not even, you can't explain when you read something that it's like, she's telling me things that only I could know about me.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time working with intuitives, because I have lots of friends now that are like highly skilled intuitives. And it's like going to therapy, but you don't have to spend any time telling your backstory to them.
Yeah.
And it's like they can feel, they know your story, and it's like they can feel the energy of anyone you talk about immediately. So it's not like I even have to explain anyone else's story. I was like, oh yeah, Gina is like this and da 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 da. But once that door, like, and that happened 1 week before the pandemic. So then, like, the next week, I'm in solitude. I'd had my
Yeah.
kids 3 days a week, and then 4 days a week, I'm by myself. And this, like, window had been opened into this new world. And I think it was the first time in my life that was like, there is something beyond this. And I would say I believed in God, but I don't think I really, or like, and like life beyond death. I would say all that, but this is when it hit me, like, there is no possible way someone could know all of this stuff if there was not life beyond death. And then at that point, I've become obsessed with it. Like, I become obsessed with anything that I become interested in. And
Yeah.
I go full throttle. And
Yeah.
this is the first, like, spirituality in my, like, seeking of God. And this is like this new interest that took over during COVID and all of this stuff we're talking about. And it's like, this is such a sustainable thing to be interested in that just only gets better as it progresses. Like, the alcohol partying thing, doesn't get better as it progresses.
No.
Ironmans don't get better as they progress. Like, you can't just keep doing that. Money, I've gone down that path, and you can make lots of money. That does not, I believe in, like, the value of making a lot of money, but for that to be like the goal of life, like, I've done that, and I've done it and worked really hard and obsessed over it. And then I got to a point of burnout. Like, if you just to focus on that, like, it's always kind of like addicted. I'm an addictive guy.
Yeah.
So, but then, like, turning that addictive energy towards finding
Something
God,
good.
towards
Yeah.
God, like, it's so cliche, right? Like, this is what every, like, spiritual teacher of every religion teaches, is like, you want to go find God, like, go on the path of God. The path of God is within you, like, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, once you realize that, it's like, the path to God is the light that I craved all along, that I tried to, like, find that feeling through all of these other things.
Yeah.
And having that realization set in is the greatest gift of my life. So, and I really, like, I'm aware that this is something in your life too. And I see this on Instagram and getting sober and doing these things. And I can just tell, like, when people have that shift, and it's like, this is so cool, isn't it? Because a lot of people, if I talk to about this, they're like, what time are the Cowboys playing on Sunday?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's okay, because I was there too. Like, like, that's just part of the process, is
Yeah.
the forgetting and the remembering. And when people start remembering, like, oh, this is why, like, this is the secret to life, is this path, I think. And you just can be totally blind to it. And then when you see it, it's like, oh, and then you can see all the other people who've seen it.
Yeah.
So I feel that way about you, my friend.
Thank you. I love that. It's kind of always the meditation of my heart, that I can live so that other people can see my light.
Yeah. And I feel like you've always been, like, you were that way when we were in high school, right?
Oh, thank you.
You're a positive presence, and that takes effort, and that's like
I
a
have
mindset.
Wild journey with God, that's for sure. I mean, I remember having an experience when I was at Sky Ranch when I was probably 8 years old and feeling God, being touched by God and knowing that I was held in the palm of her hands.
Yeah.
Um, and I know exactly where I was. I was sitting on the deck of the cabin, and one of the counselors was reading The Giving Tree and by Shel Silverstein.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her, I remember her so vividly sitting there and, saying, cut down my trunk and carve it into a boat and sail away so you will be happy. And I remember the message of that book hitting me like a ton of bricks. And in the middle of Texas July heat, this breeze like washing over the entire cabin and all of the leaves kind of rustling and this light shining through and knowing that I was a child of God. Those are maybe not the best words for me to use. I don't know, but I definitely, I felt held by the universe and knew that I was a part of something so much bigger than I could wrap my little brain around. And I have, of course, then was like told that I was, at camp that I was most Christ-like and told I was going to go to hell if I didn't accept Jesus Christ into my heart, and like all of these weird things that religion does. And so it's been a real struggle to come back to that though, which has led me to all sorts of seeking
Yeah.
and asking about ayahuasca and, all of those things.
Yeah. And the whole Christian thing, like Christian institutions that preach fear and shame, which are like two things that Jesus did not really, he
Wasn't a fan.
he was not a fan of them. He wasn't really a fan of like how political and power driven the Jewish religion had got. Like he was like, I'm here not to create a new religion, but it's to bring this down from this place of like power and judgment and more into a way of living. Jesus certainly didn't say, join my church and follow me or you're going to hell. Like, but
Yeah.
he said, live this way, or in my opinion, he said, live this way or your life will be hell.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's real simple. Like
Yeah.
the way I say I got asked this morning, like, do you consider yourself to be a Christian? I said, yes, I've decided, much like being an alcoholic, that can almost like kind of, it can really be polarizing to people to say you're a Christian.
Yeah.
And probably even me too, because I went through these stages of this fear and shame that I witnessed, not in my own church growing up, but from other like Young Life in high school.
Young
And
Life
they
was
were
intense,
Baptist based. I remember saying at a Young Life ski trip to the leaders, I said, I was born Presbyterian and I'm going to die Presbyterian. So like this fire and brimstone shit, like get out of here
Not
with
for
it.
me.
It I never bought into that bullshit. But yeah, like Jesus taught love and peace and like truth and the golden rule, like these simple ways to live. I don't even know who said it, but it's judge not lest ye be judged. Like that's like Bible, right? Like
Probably.
something in there.
I'm not real good
Maybe
at
it's
the
Game
Bible.
of Thrones. I don't know. But the judgment, Jesus did not preach judgment whatsoever, like
No.
the opposite. So when I hear someone that claims to be Christian judging other people and shaming other people, it's like, what Christian or like Christ did not do any of these things, like preach these things. Like, no, it was the opposite. So but that has become intertwined in the church because shame and fear is a great mechanism for power. And
Absolutely.
And power is power is the
Control.
goal, I think, of it can be the goal of a lot of like different religious organizations, money and power, and just being aware, consciously aware of that. And in all of my seeking, I'm reading books of all different religions. It's really the same core message in all of the different religions. And then you can take it and twist it and turn it and make it into something that will create fear and shame and power. And that's none of that's at the root of any of these messages of all of these religions. The fear and the shame, that's all just something that's brought on to convince people to, join this clique of people.
You consider yourself a Christian, though.
I would say I'm a
At this point.
Christian mystic is what because I asked
I like
ChatGPT.
Like you do.
I much like you were like the most Christ-like at church camp. Like I just try to like live my life in a Christ-like manner. I recognize that I will make mistakes, and but if I'm going to be living in a Christ-like manner, I'm quick to forgive myself.
Yeah.
But I'm also quick to tell the truth, to make amends, to apologize. Like if I do something that is not in alignment with how I'm trying to live, like I try to be really open about it, and I try to like stop doing it and atone for it by living the way that I need to be living. And I know, and they say, I've heard this so many times because I study this constantly, but a sin is, the definition of sin is missing of the mark. Like it's not eternal damnation to hell.
Yeah.
It's like, you just got to correct course. And this, and my view of life that I'm living right now is I'm just on a journey of correcting the course constantly. I'm not going to ever just like hit a railroad track to God and be on the straight and narrow forever, nor will anybody.
Yeah.
And, but you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to try to get back on the track for as long as you can. And then, but the consciousness around my behavior is the thing that I really pray for each day not to lose. Like, I know I have weaknesses. I know that I will do things that I should not be doing, but I'm going to own those things, and I'm going to do my best to, try to not do these things, not because I'm scared of going to hell. Oh, I already know when I commit sins, I go to hell instantaneously.
Oh, yeah.
I've committed plenty of sins in my life, and that's what happens. The hell begins right when it happens.
For sure.
The self-loathing, the shame, the fear, all those things. But that's the path. And I love Buddhism too, and it's a very similar message.
Yeah.
There's a country song by Ray Wiley Hubbard. It's like, Buddha wasn't a Christian, but Jesus would have made a good Buddhist. And
I love that.
there's no doubt about that. Like, and I do try to practice Buddhism just as much as I try to practice like the golden rule.
Yeah.
And not judging people and trying to just be kind to people, right? And be a frequency of peace instead of a frequency of chaos at the end of the day. That's really how I simplify it.
Yeah.
If you're creating chaos energy, that's not in alignment with Jesus Christ. If you create peaceful energy, it is. And I think most decisions I find in life that are tough to make, it's pretty easy if you think about it to say, is this going to be more peace or more chaos? And not right or wrong, because it's not. And there's never going to be like, or there hasn't been yet, like a pure avoidance of chaos in life. Like that's not going to happen. And my choices are not always going to be peace, but sometimes maybe it's not clear, but it will become clear very quickly when you're conscious of that.
I love the Buddhist idea of doing everything for the greater good.
Yes. I love that. I love the practice of breath work and energy, like Kriya Yoga. As I don't know if you've ever read Autobiography of a Yogi.
I haven't.
Oh, I highly recommend it. Steve Jobs gave that book to everyone at his funeral. So I read that in a book and said that Steve Jobs is a pretty smart guy. So I want to go, like, if he gave this to everyone at his funeral, like, I want to go read this book. And now I just kind of listen to it on repeat.
Okay, I'm going to have to listen.
I read it when I did my ayahuasca retreat the first time.
Yeah.
I was reading it while I was there. But it's about like accessing prana energy, like within your body through breath and meditation. And that practice is probably, I spend more time and energy doing that than anything else in my life.
Okay. Can we talk about breath work?
Yeah.
I had a weird experience with breath work.
Yeah. What happened?
In November, I did a wellness retreat and went to Zion National Park and hiked Angel's Landing, which was absolutely magical.
I've never been there, but
it's fantastic. It has like just the best energy. It was a really neat retreat. So one of the nights we did a breathwork ceremony, and it was not a great experience for me. I just felt like I have a lot of back pain, and so it was uncomfortable physically for me.
How was it? Like, what was the intensity of it?
It was a somatic breathwork ceremony. It was probably an hour and a half. There was like a music kind of sound bath component to it as well.
Were you lying down on your back?
Yep.
Yep.
And it was loud. There were probably 25, 30 people in the room, and it was really, really loud. People were like,
laughing and like making crazy sounds.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been there.
And I
haven't been one of those people that do that, but I've been in one of those rooms where I'm like, shut the fuck up.
So I was really like trying to find my own inner peace and kind of protect myself in that space. And I got to the point where I felt like I was absorbing everything negative that everyone was letting out.
Yeah.
And I tapped out. I was like, I got to get out of here. And I had a really lovely experience after that. I don't even need to go into it, but I had kind of this mystical experience after that breath work. So like once I stepped away, I did, but I was happy about that, but I was still really, was kind of disappointed that I had to tap out. And then the next morning I woke up and was like, okay, this gave me some clarity that I can step away if I need to. It was still a beautiful lesson. But I'm so curious about breath work. I still feel like there's something that I'm missing. I need to give it another shot, but I don't really know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, the first time I did it was Wim Hof. I think it was
Wim Hof.
I went to a seminar with Wim Hof in California.
That's amazing.
In 2019. So this was right before this whole big spiritual awakening of mine. The main reason I went is less about the breath, more about the cold exposure. And like, I like following him online. He's just, have you followed Wim Hof?
I know.
Iceman Hof.
I know. Yes, I did.
Big Dutch guy. He kind of reminds me of me, actually. He's just like this, or at least who I want to be when I grow older. And, and I saw he's doing this thing and I decided to go to it. And so we do his breathing and he's just funny, he's just like a funny guy and he's up on stage and he's like, we get high on our own supply here, I'm doing like an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, but He goes, I get high on my own supply, and he's funny, but he did this. He teaches you this breathing, and I held my breath for 4.5 minutes.
Oh, damn.
The way that you do the Wim Hof breathing is you do like 30 breaths and then you hold,
Mm-hmm.
and then you exhale, and then whatever. You can go Google Wim Hof breathing if you want to check that out. But it was extremely euphoric. I didn't even know what I was getting into. I thought I was going there just to do cold plunges with this cool guy, and I knew there would be some breathing, but but I felt like extreme euphoria doing this, and then also just holding your breath for 4.5 minutes and not feeling the need to breathe, right?
Yeah.
For several minutes.
That's crazy.
This is crazy. And I'd heard Navy SEALs have to do this in training, like
Yeah.
hold their breath underwater, but I never knew how they did. I
They
thought
do
they
Wim
were,
Hof?
yeah, they do breath work too, because what
Yeah.
happens is in that you breathe in so much oxygen that your blood becomes saturated with
Mhm.
oxygen. So then you can last. I mean, like, I'm sure, and if you're a Navy, this is me just at a seminar and I was smoking cigarettes back then, like I did that. But if you're
That
Navy,
is wild.
if you're a Navy SEAL and this is like you're training and you're swimming in the water all day, like I'm sure you
Yeah.
can go hold your breath for like 6 minutes or 7 minutes or something.
That is freaking mind-blowing that your body can do that.
Yeah, but it's all just like this. But then when you do that, the euphoria is like being on an ecstasy pill or something. And like old drug addict Ward was like, wow, this is fucking amazing. And so I like got the Wim Hof app. I did that. And then I met a girl at a conference I went to, and she is like a breathwork instructor. So I would do Zoom calls with her. She came to the house. There was a guy named Vitality or something, and he did a seminar here that reminds me of what you're talking about. And he's
Mhm.
great. Like all these people, the practitioners are all great people. They're like living a life, like trying to help people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like hundreds of people in a conference room at the Anatole Hotel, and people like screaming and laughing and doing all this.
Yeah.
But I did that, and then I discovered Joe Dispenza, and he's a meditation instructor, and he has conferences. So I've been to 7 of his retreats, and he teaches this breathing. I'll text you. I have this thing, like an instructional recording, and it's more like sitting up and what I've learned how to do through practicing this for literally hours per day for years now, like 4 years, since 2022. So almost 4 years. That's when I decided I'm going to like master this method of breathing. And what he teaches is there's this like fluid at the base of your spine. And if you breathe in this way and you practice it for like an hour and a half every day, then you're eventually going to learn how to move that fluid up into your brain, into your pineal gland, and do that. So instead of having to do like 30 breaths Wim Hof style and like this intense breathing, after all the practice I've done, and I will do this for 8 hours sometimes in a day or more.
Are you doing other things while you do this?
I'll listen to music and sometimes watch TV. But I do it when I'm on the plane. I do it, but most of the time and I've incorporated Tai Chi into it. But I can do one breath now, and I can feel like a sense of euphoria, like a waterfall of light that can overcome me for like 2 straight minutes. I'm not holding my breath for 4 minutes anymore. It's just not like that.
Yeah.
It's different. But that is what I'm talking about. And I call it Kriya Yoga. It's my own version of Kriya Yoga that I developed through all these different modalities of breath work.
Yeah.
But it's not hardcore, intense breath work, but it's extremely like precise. And it took forever of doing it. Like, because with Joe Dispenza is like, just, you have to do it. You have to do the breath. And nobody
Yeah.
wants to do the breath. But if you do this in a disciplined manner, then you're going to unlock it. Then you're going to be like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. It reminds me of that story of like the tree or bamboo or something that like a Japanese monk or something. Like it's just like a little tiny tree that never grows for like 2 years
And
or
how all
something.
of the roots are growing down below.
And then once the roots are in place, the tree goes. Shroom.
Yeah.
That's how this breathing has worked for me.
Oh, I love that. It's a beautiful analogy.
And I'll send that to you. And then you can do that
Yeah,
in
I
your
love
meditation room and just sit
Yeah.
and I was in a tight financial spot. And I was told by one of my esoteric friends that are now, I have a shitload of these people. And at that point in my life, I was super seeking all this stuff. So I was going to all these retreats and different mastermind groups and meeting all these people. And someone told me, because I was like kind of worried about money, and he's like, go to Joe Dispenza and that will help you. And you have to do this meditation. You have to do this breath and then blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. And I really just did it like a drive for money.
Yeah.
And that was motivating me. And, but I did it like in a very disciplined manner. And now it's just become the only purpose now. I do it like, I feel like I'm just like streaming light and positive energy into this world. And that's what I think about it when I'm doing it. Like this is, anybody I think can do this, but to get to that point takes a lot of patience and discipline. And you can go to those places and do breath work. I think for an experience where it's like, wow, I can hold my breath for 4 minutes, or I feel this buzzing sensation on my body, and that's cool. Those experiences. But when you develop the daily practice, then it becomes something that's super personal. I think it's different for everybody. And I've just felt guided. Like I stand up when I do it. I do different movements. Carissa, who I talked about, she was like, you need to go take a Tai Chi class. And I did. And I don't like pretend to know Tai Chi, but that taught me like how to sense energy in a way that I wasn't doing before. And then once I kind of sense the energy, then the energy guides you. And you don't need to, it's all coming from within. And then you hear things like the light of God is within you. Oh, I know this light now. And like it's through experiential learning, not from some fucking guy telling me about how I need to live my life.
Yeah.
And that's brought me a lot of peace. And I call in Yeshua, Jesus, like in all my meditations. Like he's my, I call in Buddha and Kuan Yin, and I have a list.
The more the merrier.
I have a list of like 30 ascended masters that I got from ChatGPT because I just had a dream of like I should look into this. And I didn't know anything about any of these people until like the last 6 months, but that just kind of occurred to me. But I call in all these people, but Yeshua is number one. Like he's like, you're my guy. And then, but everybody else is like all on the same team and they're all like here to help. So, but breath work, I think, is super important. It's so simple. I think every church should be doing breath work. Like really.
Oh, I love that.
Like that seems like it would be a no-brainer unless
I'd go to that church.
Unless you get worried that if somebody has direct access to God, they might stop going to your church as much. And that's all it is. The breath work, I think, leads to a direct access to God that's undeniable. If you go put in, and anyone can say like, no, that's not true. Like, well, go do it for an hour and a half a day for a year, and then tell me if your life changes drastically and your perspective on this changes. But
that's a lot of time, Ward.
Most people won't do it.
I'm only meditating for like, I'd say 10 to 30 minutes every morning.
That's what I was doing. And it starts with my like box breathing, just kind of drawing in that focus. I did that for 5 years like that.
Yeah.
Until this guy told me to go do the Joe Dispenza thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like
a game changer
like an hour or a 90-minute meditation. It's like, who the fuck is going to be doing this for night? Now I'm like, I do it for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like how did this happen? I don't know.
I think that there's something else there for me for sure. I need to focus. I really would like to focus more on the breath work. I think there's something there, and I think that it can I think that it could put me in a different state and protect my energy in a different way.
Yeah. And and it's just one of those cool things that really works. And if you go research it, like all these people say that this works and this
Yeah.
is a thing. I would say that I've had more psychedelic experiences through doing this breath work times 1000 than like doing ayahuasca or something. And
Yeah.
that's like full sober state. Um, of but the mystical experiences just are nonstop.
Okay. Tell me how you feel about ayahuasca. Tell me if you would suggest it or not.
I suggest it to anybody who feels called to do it.
Or do you think that breathwork's gonna do it for me?
I think I wanted the adventure and the experience, and I think
Mhm.
that's a big part of ayahuasca. I think if you're really shut down and have trouble believing in God and all those types of things, or like all of this that I'm talking about, if you're like, you're a cuckoo bird and this is all not real, I think ayahuasca can allow you to see energy in a way that you can also do that, I think, on LSD or mushrooms or ketamine. Like all these psychedelics have this ability to let you see like beyond the veil and see things that are um that you can't unsee, that it's all like there is this world is energy and made up of energy, and we're all made up of energy. And they say this and we learn about this, we're all atoms and all that, but then when you actually see like yourself as an energetic structure, it's like, oh, that's, yeah, that's right. And then I think about this whole living in a Christ-like manner. I don't think, do I do that to please Jesus? I do it so I don't get bitch slapped by God to an extent, but really back to the Buddhism thing, like if I can make my energy field like really peaceful and large and powerful in like, in the best way possible, then I impact all the energy in the whole world because we're all just part of this energy matrix. So then if I do that, then I'm going to be contagious. And some people who might have really dense energy might find my contagious light energy to be really annoying and they don't want to be around me. Or it attracts other people and then that just continues to expand. So when I think about my behavior in that way, and that kind of goes back to the drinking, like if me not drinking creates this like that creates better, cleaner energy for me for sure
Yeah.
than if I'm drinking. No doubt. Um, because that shame will creep right back in and the shame makes the energy like lower frequency. Um, Alcohol makes energy lower frequency. So if I want to be as high frequency as possible, then it's all about like what you eat, how you behave. If you make a commitment, like stick to it, tell the truth. If you're holding on to lies or something, like that's like the most low vibing energy. I've never been a violent person, but I can only imagine the low vibing energy that's on people that struggle with violence.
Yeah.
If you're judging other people, that's low vibing energy. You're not judgmental and you're compassionate instead, because that's your choice. Like somebody annoys the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I watched the Chevy Chase documentary. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I love his movies from our
Yeah.
childhood so much. And he's like, he's good an asshole. And so the documentary lady is like telling him something. He's like, you bitch. And you start watching it and it's like, what an asshole. And he was like banned basically from Hollywood because of his behavior.
Oh my
And
gosh. I don't
um
think I realized that.
yeah, but when you watch and at first in the documentary, I was like, I don't know if I can watch this. And but I kept watching and was reminded of how hilarious he was in like Caddyshack and Vacation and
Yeah.
all of Fletch, like all of his stuff. He was so kooky. Spies Like Us. I went on a rampage of watching these movies. but the whole time he was high on cocaine, like
Yeah.
for 30 years. And I've done cocaine, but I was not Clark Griswold. Like he was like one of the most famous people in the world and rich. And then you're doing cocaine like in Los Angeles. They were talking about how he would have a pyramid of it, like on the Lazy Susan at a restaurant in Hollywood. Like
Oh my
this is,
gosh.
but he did so much, and he was he was like abused as a child and like locked in the cellar by his mom. They talk about that. And
Mm.
so you can watch that and you can say, this guy's an asshole and a horrible human being. And that perspective totally makes sense. And I can see why anyone would say that. And it took me a while to watch it. And then it's like, this guy is like trapped as a child. And because of this upbringing, he became really funny. Like,
Yeah.
but he also became a really big drug addict. And he like never really grew up, and he was kind of like telling potty jokes constantly in an almost like he just like tells jokes constantly and
Right.
has
It's
never
coping mechanism.
he's sober now, but it's like he still can't help but tell like really lewd jokes, and he has a super dark warped sense of humor that like even like great comedians can barely keep up with, because he was always like that. He still
Yeah.
is.
I don't know if I need to see this documentary.
Yeah, maybe not. But the point was,
skip that one.
because of this conscious, I'm always thinking about this stuff, and I find myself like, I'm not going to judge him though. Like I'm gonna be compassionate for him.
Absolutely.
Right. And like finding that, that's something I think about, because inherently I think you can jump to judgment really quick, or like that person's not a good person or blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
no, my belief is like everyone is a good person at some place inside of them. And then they just
Absolutely.
get flawed by something. And it doesn't have to be, I also now recognize like whatever drove me to drink and use drugs and do all the things that I did over the years, it wasn't anything that bad. I wasn't
Yeah.
like locked in a cellar by my mother or anything like that, or I didn't grow up in poverty. But it's kind of like it doesn't matter what the reason is, because for some people, the reason can seem very insignificant to other people. Whereas people that get stomped on and grew up in the projects or whatever, like those people, there's some that can get out of that and rise and become a CEO of a company. And then there's others that get trapped in it. But it's kind of like to even judge that, like judge someone's reason for being a fucked up asshole of a person. Like, it's like, you don't know, like,
No.
unless you're God,
I
like that's the
just,
only way you could know.
Dr. Gabor Mate.
Mhm. He's a big ayahuasca
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know
guy.
what his stake is in Soltara, but
He's on the board or something, or like some type of advisor, or he might own it.
yeah, I looked it up and saw his name pop up and was like, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just listened to a podcast the other day, and he was talking about, it's not about the trauma that happened, it's how you process the trauma.
Yeah.
And sometimes that trauma is not, it's not all big trauma. Sometimes it's little trauma and it's just how we hold it in our bodies.
And then like everything else you do because of that initial trauma creates trauma that's way greater. And you might
Yeah. Then we walk around and create that trauma on our children and pass it along. And
yeah, they need to teach all this stuff in school, right? Like
one would hope.
I didn't become aware of any of this until I went to rehab.
Yeah.
Which when I went to rehab, I was embarrassed to be going to rehab. And then I'm like being taught about psychology, and I quit drinking and became a healthier person and developed a curiosity about all this stuff. Like it was
And then
never
it's so
on,
freeing.
it was never on my radar.
Yeah.
And now the world we live in now, 10 years ago, it was very different. Right. Like,
Yeah.
and then 10 years before that, totally different. And when we were in high school, like it was the last thing anybody was talking about back then. At
Oh,
least
for sure.
it
Social
wasn't on my
media is not
radar.
all bad, right?
Right.
I mean, I follow accounts online, and some days I'm like, I'm basically a psychologist. You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
I got this.
For sure. Yeah. I clearly am. Have you been listening to me today?
I mean, we're going to
Call me
single-handedly
Dr. Ward.
solve the world's problems, for sure. For sure.
Oh, we haven't
Do we
even
have?
talked about the Molly Symms story yet.
I mean, this is it, Ward. This is it. I am living my best life, just trying to figure it out. And I am seeking and, trying to figure out my path.
I feel like we should do like our own bubble talk here at Truckin On and just like check
Yes.
in like every 6 months and just have these like conversations
I
about
love
this
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Ward, I don't think this question is for me. Interestingly enough, I understand that question, but I don't think I like this for me. Simply because I think that everything in this life, every lesson has shown up in its perfect timing for me.
I love that. So true.
It still does. Like, I just experienced, and I'm going to cry all over again. I just experienced this like wild heartbreak. And it was the most perfect timing of teaching me to let go of things and to not hold on to things so tightly, and that everything is really fleeting. Um, and I mean, the gifts of that relationship have been endless. I learned something from it, just reflecting back on it daily. And so I think everything has shown up in its perfect timing, and I wouldn't have listened.
Oh, for
I would have
sure.
been like, F you with your advice,
You knew me in
Dr.
high school.
Molly.
Can you imagine high school Ward listening to 48-year-old World? I mean, he'd be like, who is this guy?
Ward and Molly were cracking up in the closet. I mean, no, we would not have
remember
listened.
the closet. I wish I did.
No, I wouldn't have listened. But if I could reframe that question, I think it would maybe be like, what advice would I give to somebody seeking my advice, or maybe what I'm teaching my children.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to teach my children that, what do I tell them all the time? I tell them that there's nothing that is unfigureoutable, which is kind of a ridiculous thing to say, but they're like, come to me with anything.
Yeah.
We will figure it out. And I think, and not that I'm going to figure it out for you, but by saying we will figure it out will hopefully invites them to decide what they want to do with that, and know that I'm going to be right there next to them, cheering them on while they figure it out.
I love that. That's great.
And I think also, I mean, I hope that they don't carry as much shame that I've carried.
Yeah.
And I try to apologize to them a lot. I apologize a lot. Like, I'm sorry for the things that I did not know.
Do you teach them about shame?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know that I do. My kids are really confident.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. I hope that I teach them to stand on their own 2 feet, and to be really, I trust them. I teach them to trust their intuition and their gut. And I think that inherently leads to not being shameful.
Yeah.
When you can step into that, your own power,
Yeah.
that rids yourself of that shame. Because I think that we are all born to be spiritual beings. We are innately created as spiritual beings, and we're taught to kind of brush that aside, especially in Western culture. But I have told my kids more recently, I have really been leaning in. Like my daughter was going through something, and I was like, I love that you're seeking my advice or my wisdom and my guidance with this, but what does your gut tell you in this
Oh, I like that.
situation? Because you, my dear, have the power within you already. You know what the answer is. You want me to validate it, and you don't need my validation.
They're
You
closer
have
to
it.
that answer than we are to an
Yeah.
extent. Like they've been less impacted by the sediment of living.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you kind of like,
you don't have all that shit to muddy the water, right?
yeah,
Not yet.
there's such a trend of people our age, like, or really 10 years ago, like in your late 30s, that's when the sediment gets so heavy. It's like you gotta become spiritually awakened or you're gonna die.
Drown.
And
Yeah.
then it kind of makes sense. Like it's this like chart of you get to that point of breaking and then you're like go back to God. And then that's that whole path of that back half of life for, I think, your average human being.
Do you know Brene Brown?
Yeah.
I love the kind of imagery she puts around that with like, we have been just packing on the armor, protecting ourselves from all the things that happened in the past. And at some point you get to that point where you have to you're either going to put it back on and run yourself into the ground, or you're going to start dropping it off
Oh, I love that.
and freeing yourself of that armor, and you decide not to carry it anymore. And I love that imagery.
Do you have a book to recommend?
Oh, Ward. I just ugly cried at my sink listening to Elizabeth Gilbert read. She even narrates it, the Audible book of All the Way to the River. Do you know this?
No.
It's so good.
All the way to the river.
All the Way to the River, Elizabeth Gilbert, who also wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, okay.
So I actually went to Bali last year.
Oh, cool. I remember that you went there.
And I tried to read Eat, Pray, Love for, I think, maybe the third time and never made it through. I don't know what it is, because
you were like on your Eat, Pray, Love mission, reading Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, I was like, I'm going to eat, pray, love till I find God or whatever it is. I am still kind of on that journey. And hopefully I won't ever stray from that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but All the Way to the River, damn. There were some.
I just bought it.
I love this for you.
I can't wait.
I love it. I have ugly cried, and it has changed my little world.
Wow.
It has changed my world. Okay, another one, though, is Alua Arthur.
Yeah.
Do you know who Alua Arthur is?
No.
Oh, she is a death doula. Fascinated by this world, too. And I've kind of thought
Does that mean they
I've-
help people die, like transition?
Yeah. I like to say that they walk people home. I had the most amazing experience with that with my dad.
Wow.
And I really, truly felt like I got to walk him home. It was beautiful. But I have actually more recently thought about maybe even doing like a death doula certificate, or, like a certification or whatever. I'm not sure. There
I could
might be something in there for me.
I could see you being.
Can you?
Yeah,
Thank you, Ward.
You're the most Christ-like.
No, don't tell me that. Don't tell me. The one who's like, I don't really consider myself a Christian. In culturally, I guess
Jesus
I
never
do,
considered himself a Christian.
You're right. You're right. That's a good point, Ward. Okay, so Alua Arthur is a death doula. She's based in LA, and she wrote a book called Briefly Perfectly Human. Cracked my little heart wide open also. And then I am also in a state of reading the poetry of Andrea Gibson here
Okay.
and there also. Do you know Andrea Gibson?
I don't.
Oh, Ward, your little heart's about to be broken open.
I've got all of these, and I'm going to add them to the Truckin on reading list that I
Yes,
have on my
do
website.
it. They're life-changing. All of those.
Molly, I love you.
I love you.
Let's do this
Ward.
again. It's so fun.
I mean, it's like just an ellipses here because it is to be continued for
For sure.
I love it.
Thanks for trucking on.